On the news, Akeredolu vows to arm Amotekun against federal government's directive. Atiku's economic blueprint, poor copy of Buhari's model, Lai Mohammed tells opposition. And Tambowal replaces Fayemi as NGF chairman. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Simisola Adigun. Governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, says the state will procure arms for operatives of the Western Nigerian Security Network, codenamed Amotekun. The governor, in a statement on Thursday, said to allow the Katsina State Security Outfit to bear arms and deny the Amotekun of same rights means the federal government is playing double standards in their treatment of state-owned security agencies. Akeredolu's statement comes a few weeks after Samuel Otom, governor of Benue State, said if the federal government refused to approve the license for arms for the state security outfit, he will get approval from his people. To make sense of the situation, I spoke to Dennis Amakri, former Deputy Director, Department of State Services. I began by asking him if he agrees with the Ondo State Governor's line of argument that if the federal government can allow a security outfit in Katsina State to carry arms, then Amotekun should be granted the same right.
The whole idea is to secure people. And then, of course, the governor is saying that right now, they are still armed. If you remember, they are all armed right now. But what he's saying is that the weapons they are carrying is not sophisticated enough, And if it's not sophisticated enough, he wants them to carry more sophisticated automatic weapons like AK-47, to counter those terrorists that happen to terrorize his people. And I agree with him. The whole idea is gun control. Gun control. People who are not trained cannot handle guns properly. If they are handling it, they might shoot themselves or shoot other people. But if they are going to allow them to carry guns, then I think they should also put a training program in the schedule so that after training, and they know how to handle it, they can issue them the guns.
The argument for or against state policing has been on for a while now, but will arming regional security outfits solve the country's insecurity problems?
Well, this is an evolution to the state police agitation because they will continue to grow until they have them. Like in Lagos, for instance, do you know they already have state police? Last Mile is a state police, Because after a while, they will have the power to prosecute, and that is done by law, And if the court say, or the State House of Assembly say, you can arrest and prosecute, that is police, So I think whether we are agitating for it, and some people don't want it to happen, gradually it will happen. And then, of course, the states will now take ownership in dealing with the security of their states.
That was Dennis Amakri, former Deputy Director, Department of State Services, speaking on the argument of procuring arms for operators of the Western Nigeria Security Network, codenamed Amotekun. Moving on, the Defense Headquarters says it's zero tolerance for any act of atrocity committed against humanity, and the Nigerian state still stands. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Dammadami, made this known during an interactive session with journalists on the activities of the Nigerian troops across the country in the previous 14 days. Dammadami, while fielding questions from newsmen on the whereabouts of the alleged Boko Haram chief executioner Bashir Bulabudu Waye, responded that the terrorists, who voluntarily surrendered to the troops of Operation Hadinkai, will be facing the full wrath of the law.
Yes, he has surrendered on his own evolution. He's been profiled. We are aware that there's a legal process. Once you have been profiled, you are being screened to know whether you have committed atrocities whether you are in depth into Boko Haram activities, you have been involved in killings, you have been involved in whatever case. And therefore, you will be sent, the normal judicial process will be followed. So it's only those who have not been involved in any of these criminal acts that will now go through the deradicalization process. But I can assure you, as far as what is concerned, what is on the ground now, anybody who has committed atrocity against humanity and against the nation, definitely they will follow the full process of the judicial process.
Meanwhile, the military is calling on the Nigerian public to report any individual caught using the military uniforms for any criminal venture. The Director, Defense Information, Major General Jimmy Apple, said the approach is part of efforts to clamp down on indiscriminate use of the uniforms, mostly for criminal tendencies.
The uniform has found its way into the hands of those who shouldn't use it. Is worrisome, and for the society to be wary. And in every location, there are military garrisons, there are police and other security agencies. When you find anything that is fishy, you must report accordingly. You must report accordingly.
Governor Aminu Tambawal of Sokoto State has taken over as the chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF. This was made known in a statement by the Director, Media and Public Affairs of the NGF, Abdul Razak Bello Bakindo. In a statement, Bakindo said the Sokoto State Governor will be holding the fort until May 2023, when a proper election is conducted among the governors. Fayemi was a few weeks ago elected as the president of the Forum of Regional and State Governments, FORAF, in Saidia in the state of Casablanca in Morocco. The federal government has described the economic blueprint of the candidate of the opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2023 presidential election, Atiku Abubakar, as a poor version of the model of President Muhammadu Buhari. While addressing a news conference in Abuja on Thursday, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said the current administration is implementing the content of Atiku's economic blueprint. According to the minister, the plan by the former vice president to rebuild infrastructure and reduce infrastructure deficits to boost the economy and wealth creation is what Buhari has been doing since he was elected in 2015.
It's more shocking that an opposition that has condemned all that this administration has done will turn around to weave its so-called economic blueprint around the same things that are currently being done by the same administration. This press conference, therefore, is aimed at exposing the hypocrisy, deceit and emptiness inherent in the opposition that condemns an administration while also showcasing the blueprint that is nothing but a poor version of what is on ground today. Even our worst critics will agree that our record on infrastructure development is next to none in the history of this country. Across the country, this administration has constructed 8,352.94 kilometers of roads. We have rehabilitated 7,936 kilometers of roads. We have constructed 299 bridges. We have maintained 312 bridges, and in the process created 302 and 39,000 jobs.
The Nigerian Senate is proposing a piece of legislation that will impose property taxes on the thousands of properties in the Federal Capital Territory that have been left unoccupied as part of measures to address the problem of high cost of housing and security issues. Chairman, Senate Committee on the FCT, Senator Smart Adeyemi, disclosed this on Thursday during a meeting with members of staff of the committee following his appointment as the new FCT committee chairman, replacing Senator Abubakar Kyari. Adeyemi said this is part of measures to ensure the Nigerian is a home to all, not just the rich and privileged in the society. He added that there will be engagements with the heads of agencies in the FCT administration and contractors handling ongoing projects within the capital as early as next week.
Completed buildings in their thousands in Abuja that nobody is living. Now the question we want to ask is, if these buildings will be left unoccupied, then the owner should be ready to pay property tax. We are going to work towards property tax to take from the rich to be able to save the poor. So if people have built houses and nobody is occupying them, we'll find out why these houses have not been occupied, and we'll call the attention of government to lock them up so that criminals do not take charge, so that it doesn't become a thing for kidnappers. So these properties that are completed, that are not occupied, what we're going to do is to put in place measures that will compel them to start paying taxes, council tax, so that we can use the money to develop the city. We will not ask people not to build, but once you are built and what you are charging is beyond the reach of an average person in the city, then you start paying property tax.
President Muhammadu Buhari has reiterated the commitment of his administration in ensuring that there is a rapid and strategic transition to renewable energy in response to worldwide efforts for the preservation of the environment. Buhari made this known on Wednesday at the United Nations Annual Summit in New York, the United States of America. According to him, through the use of emerging technologies and alternative fuels such as hydrogen, bioenergy and waste-to-energy, a pathway for diverse technologies will be created to achieve low-carbon development. Our correspondent, Abisola Adebayo, completes the story.
One of the top agenda of the 77th Annual Summit of the UN General Assembly, scheduled for September to December 2022, is the issue of climate change, which has affected not only the environment but also the economy of many countries. Speaking at the meeting, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, highlighted the effects of climate change, especially in Africa. He explained that Nigeria has adopted a strategy aimed to deliver climate change mitigation.
As part of Nigeria's effort at achieving our global net zero aspiration, the current administration last year adopted a national climate change strategy that aims to deliver climate change mitigation in a sustainable manner. The measures we took at the national level also require climate justice. Africa and other developing nations produce only a small proportion of greenhouse gas emissions compared to industrialized economies. Yet, we are the hardest hit by the consequences of climate change.
He also emphasized the need for a commitment to releasing a stable and affordable framework for energy transition to tackle the menace.
Fortunately, we now know what we can do to mitigate the effects of the climate crisis and the related energy challenge. As a first step, we must all commit to releasing the financing and the technology to create a stable and affordable framework for energy transmission.
President Buhari urged world leaders to address the issue of unsustainable external debt by a global commitment to the expansion and extension of the debt service suspension initiative to countries facing fiscal and liquidity challenges.
Indeed, the multifaceted challenges facing most developing countries have placed a debilitating chokehold on their fiscal space. This equally calls for the need to address the burden of unsustainable external debt by a global commitment to the expansion and extension of the debt service suspension initiative to countries facing fiscal and liquidity challenges, as well as outright cancellation for countries facing the most severe challenges.
President Buhari further reiterated his commitment towards ensuring a free, fair and credible election come 2023 as he called for peace and goodwill towards member states. Abisola Adebayo, TV360 News.
In observance of the United Nations International Day of Peace, the National Unity and Peace Corps is calling for a concerted effort that will enthrone peace and unity across the country. With this year's theme as End Racism, Build Peace, the Commandant General of the Corps, Chinedu Ineji, strongly condemned any form of racism, which he said is dehumanizing. The Commandant General passionately appealed to President Muhammadu Buhari to kindly grant assent to the Peace Corps bill while also launching projects aimed at ending female genital mutilation and other forms of deprivation in Nigeria.
Operation Mediation on the lingering industrial dispute between labor organizations and federal government for industrial harmony. We have what it takes to mediate between the federal government and trade unions, and we have activated same immediately. These proposed projects are not far from the theme for this year's International Day of Peace celebration. Therefore, we all need to end racism and build peace, because the girl child who suffers genital mutilation, and the child who has been denied education, and the students who have been at home due to ASU strike, and in fact, anyone suffering from any form of deprivation is suffering from one form of racism or the other. As we celebrate this year's Day of Peace, International Day of Peace, let us all, through our actions, inactions, attitude, thoughts, etc., be channeled towards building peace in our country, Nigeria. I will end my speech with a passionate appeal to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, to grant assent to our bill, the bill for an act to establish Nigerian Peace Corps, pending before the National Assembly, to give us a legislative backing and convert this organization to a full-fledged government agency.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. Court sets aside consent judgment on the $47 million Paris Club refund payment. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. Governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, says the state will procure arms for operatives of the Western Nigeria Security Network, codenamed Amotekun. The governor, in a statement on Thursday, said permitting the Katsina State Security Outfit to bear arms and deny the Amotekun of the same rights means the federal government is playing double standards in their treatment of state-owned security agencies. We also told you that the federal government has described the economic blueprint of the candidate of the opposition People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election, Atiku Abubakar, as a poor version of the model of President Muhammadu Buhari. While addressing a news conference in Abuja on Thursday, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said the current administration is implementing the content of Atiku's economic blueprint. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on all our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Pfizer Incorporated has announced on Thursday it will supply up to 6 million courses of its COVID-19 antiviral treatment to the NGO Global Fund for 132 low and middle income countries in a bid to address worldwide disparities in COVID response. The company said the Paxlovid treatment courses will be available for procurement this year, subject to local regulatory clearances. While Paxlovid is widely available in many rich countries, availability has been severely restricted in poorer ones. Pfizer said the supply agreement is part of its strategy to facilitate equitable access to oral COVID treatments. Taiwan says it will scrap quarantine for arrivals by mid-October as the East Asian economy moves to dismantle some of the last pandemic-related border restrictions still in place globally. Taiwan authorities added that the government will raise the weekly limit for international visitors to 60,000 and scrap PCR COVID tests for inbound passengers. Under the East rules, visitors who test positive for COVID-19 will still have to be quarantined at a hotel or at home. We'll take another break here and return with more stories in business. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Abisola Adebayo is on standby with more stories in business. Over to you, Bisola.
Thank you very much, Simisola. Welcome to Business News. The Debt Management Office, DMO, says investing in the various securities provided by the federal government of Nigeria is an act of patriotism. Patience Oniha, Director General of the DMO, said this at the FGN Securities Issuance Awareness Program in Yola. Oniha further explained that by investing in FGN securities, citizens are contributing to nation building and assisting the government to meet its financial obligations. The Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, has set aside a consent judgment entered in favor of Panic Alert Security Systems Limited against the trustees of the Nigeria Governors Forum for payment of some individuals and organizations for the roles they played in the Parry Club refund received by the federal government. Panic Alert is one of the 6 beneficiaries of the government's payment of the judgment debt of $418 million to contractors that facilitated the Parry Club loans refund to 36 states. Delivering the ruling on Wednesday, Justice Soho held that the said consent judgment was entered without jurisdiction in its entirety. Well, we'll take a break now and return with a review of the stock market. The bear continued its dominance on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange after knocking out the bull yesterday, but this time it's even a bigger loss. At the close of trading on Thursday, the all-share index declined further by 0.47% to close at 49,190 basis points. On the back of continued profit-taking, investors also lost about 125 billion naira, making the market capitalization close by 26 trillion naira at the close of trading. Market giants like Lafarge, Orlando, Cadbury, and some of the Fugas contributed in pulling the index down as investors remain cautious in anticipation of the upcoming Monetary Policy Committee meeting next week. But at the close of trading today, CoinEx and Multiverse led the largest counter, recording a combined 37 kobo loss. On the flip side, as our gainers list for today, Transnationwide Express PLC and NEM Insurance PLC topped the gainers chart as they recorded a combined 20 kobo gain. Our market summary is unfortunately also bearish as 126 million units of shares valued at 1.7 billion naira exchange hands in 3,117 deals. Anyways, by all indications, we see room for sustained bargain hunting till the end of the week as investors will obviously continue to cherry pick stocks with strong fundamentals, also taking advantage of the depressed market prices to secure attractive entry positions. Moving ahead to the global market, that's the FTSE, the Dow Jones and the Nikkei. Obviously, they're all in in the negative territory. European stocks futures tumbled on Thursday as the U.S. Federal Reserve delivered another supersized interest rate hike and signaled more increases in its fight against stubbornly high inflation, which is why the FTSE recorded a 1.08% decline. The Dow Jones in the same vein also recorded a 0.33% decline, and it also affected Asian markets as the Nikkei here is recording a 0.58% decline at the close of trading. That's all on stock market reports. Back to Simisola for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Abisola, for the update. Now, on the global scene, Russia has begun implementing plans to call up reservists to fight in Ukraine after suffering setbacks there. President Vladimir Putin's order to mobilize 300,000 more Russians with military experience sparked protests on Wednesday. More than 1,000 anti-mobilization protesters are reported to have been arrested. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has not denied media reports that some protesters were given draft papers. Well, it's time for Entertainment Report on News Now. Former Big Brother Naija housemate White Money has been signed onto Empire Mate Entertainment EME Records. The reality TV star announced the cheery news with pictures online. White Money officially unveiled his music career after his victory at the BBN show, but mixed reactions have been trailing most of his songs. He, however, released the tracks Rosemary and Your Life in 2018, as well as My Heart in 2021. His latest song, Silencer Remix, has over 150,000 streams on YouTube. Singer and songwriter Waje has attracted mixed reactions from fans after she publicly sought a collaboration with her colleague Tems. In a tweet on Monday, Waje indicated her interest to work with the singer. Her tweet, however, did not sit well with some fans who say she stooped low to beg Tems for a feature despite being in the industry longer. However, some fans welcomed the idea and even claimed that the duo may already have a collaboration, while suggesting that Waje's tweet might just be a teaser for their collaboration. And that's all there is on the entertainment segment of News Now. The coach of Bolton Celtics, Ime Udoka, is currently facing disciplinary action for his involvement in a consensual, intimate relationship with a woman who is a member of staff of the basketball team. The act is expected to include a significant suspension as the head coach of the Bolton Celtics. Ime Udoka, who is a Nigerian-American professional basketball coach and a former basketball player for the Nigerian national team, is engaged to the multiple award-winning actress Nia Long. They have one child together. Well, that's the size of our bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Simisola Adigun. Bye for now.